Hey everybody. We back. We got I want to first get everybody to subscribe. I want you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Um if you would like to donate, you can donate at Go Hard or Die. $ Go Hard or Die. Um so you could also, if you want to, we got Rocky Mount ADOS. Here we got Triangle ADOS. We got Twin City ADOS. Um, I know some of you may seen the title. Got an article I'm gonna be reading from here on Rocky Mount, and we're gonna get the conversation going. If you see me looking over here, because the only way I can see some of my chat sometime on Facebook is by actually being in Facebook. So I got the rest here, and I have to look on my phone to see some of the chats on Facebook. So once again tonight we're gonna basically do some of the same thing. We here at Breaking the Mental Chain is what we doing. We trying to break the mental chain. The ultimate goal of my channel, of the support that I get from the other ADOS family that's working with me on this channel, is we want to bring forth what we can think for ourselves. Where it's okay if we get it wrong. But what we must do is not be scared to be able to be critical thinkers, to bring to the forefront what makes our lives better. As I said before, what makes our lives better that we can feel it in our homes. Not that some black figure get in front of you and say, oh, this person has done this person has done that. Yet you can't see it or feel it in your own. Basically what I'm saying, if you're struggling to pay your bills, most of us are. Most of us that's ADOS, black people. If you removed our check today, 30 days later we'll be out. Because most of us live check to check. And I ain't saying that as if I'm not in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. I won't stay afloat long if the check go away. And most of us won't. Even though you might have some out there front and saying they will. So here what we want to do is, it ain't about shaming. It's about us admitting to this situation that we are in. And this situation that we are in is severe, and it's getting worse as the clock tick along. We must start to pay attention more to what's going on around us versus the decadent veil, as Antonio Moore puts it a lot of time. The football game, the basketball game, the baseball game. We must start to prioritize what's important. If something ain't changing your life and making it better, why are you putting so much energy into that versus the things that will? So ultimately, what we trying to do here is start to zoom in on the things that will make our life better. To start to make that the most ultimate priority. Um, we here to educate. We here to connect the dots. We want our people to move as one. We want to bring to the light the black leadership that has turned their back on us because they are due for suffers. They are only concerned with themselves. This article here that we're gonna go through tonight, we're gonna dissect this article, to bring forth truth from this article. Um, as you see, the article is called Rocky Mount is dead. Long live Rocky Mountain. This article got a lot of information in it. As always, here at ADOS, Breaking the Mental Chain, we take these articles, we read them, and we connect the dots on things that the article itself may not be really putting in perspective, and we bring it to perspective of what it looked like when it unfolds in your life. So another thing I want to say before it slips my mind, because once I start going to this article, I may forget it. So I want to say this right now. It's another thing. I often search the web, and I just I try to go through scanning a lot of different articles, topics that people are talking about, and I try to narrow it down as to what I'm hearing and what people paying a lot of attention to. And what I mean by a lot of attention, you see things get a lot of views, and you're like, why this and that getting a lot of views? I want to tell my people something here right now tonight. When I'm talking to you and reading you these articles, it's because I got a plan for you and me. And I also got a roadmap how to execute that plan. I repeat it. Here at Breaking the Mental Chain, ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, when we talk and reading these articles, we come with a plan and we have a way to execute the plan. When you are listening to these people, I want you to remember those very, very important moments, those very important facts I just said. I'm not just talking to be talking. I'm talking because I need my people to become critical thinkers, not just to give you something to think about, as a lot of people constantly saying around the web. They use this term, I'm just here to make you think. Now understand, thinking is a very involuntary act. Now when I say that, all the geniuses, all the doctors and scientists will tell you the same thing. That tonight, when you go to bed, tonight, your brain will do more work. You will think more while you at rest than when you are awake. The reason being because when you sleep, you can't control your thoughts. So that alone tell you the thinking process is very natural. Don't nobody gotta make you think. The next thing you will know is that you can control your thoughts more when you are awake. Now I say that because we got a lot of things going on. A lot of people, a lot of times people are doing some do for self stuff while saying they are trying to help. Now, being that we are in a very critical moment right now in 2021, and we need to be focused on things that can bring forth change. Meaning, why would I listen or follow someone that has no plan and no way of executing the plan? Just think about that a minute. Just because the person says, I'm just here to make you think. See, I see that as do for self-realism, because that gives that person the escape route not to do the work. Meaning they don't have to show forth no work that they actually doing to make things different. Meaning they ain't going to no congressman putting no pressure on them for the better the black community. They ain't holding people accountable for the things that they are doing, the police killings. They ain't holding people accountable. So they get the escape hatch, if you want to say. And the way they get the escape hatch is by selling you on, I'm just here to make you think. ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, are not just here to make you think. We here to make you critical thinkers and how to process the things you see, the things you read, and how to transform that into a powerful movement that transforms your life and get you reparations and a black agenda that makes you whole. We got a plan. I ain't just here making you think. I'm ready to get on that front line. I'm ready to call my council member, my Congress member, and say, where are you at with standing for us for reparations and to be made whole? I'm willing to put pressure on people for my people to be made whole. I'm not just here making you think. I want you to be a critical thinker and be able to see through any web that somebody trying to weave just to trap you in it with no plan and no execution of the plan. So we ain't just here at breaking the mental change, ADOS. We ain't just here making you think. We're educating you to transform you into a critical thinker, to teach you how to prioritize what should be important and things that you can say, I ain't really worried about that right now. I got to take care of this. We always must put things in perspective. If I need to be on a town hall meeting because it's a discussion going on about reparations, and I need to be the voice in that room that says this is how it needs to be implemented. And the basketball game on, I need to be able to say, forget the basketball game. I can record that, get back to it later. This meeting, I must be there. It's like this conversation right now. You need to make time for conversations like this, not so many of the ignorant conversations. We waste too much time in conversations that don't transform our lives. But when something go wrong, people start, wow, why this ain't happening? Because you weren't involved. You were watching the basketball game. And today, I love exercise. I like to stay in shape because I want to be a warrior that can fight this battle that we got in front of us with every single breath I got. I want to fight this battle. Anyway, today I was thinking while I was riding my bike, exercising, how a lot of times we see when people what we see when people a lot of times when people you somebody gets shot by the police. The first thing they do is they take the victim's family, parent, or whatever, make them the face of things. Now, understand, if you want to, if you was a mechanic, you become the best mechanic, it's because you're doing that work day in and day out. That makes you a good mechanic because you like, I'm doing it all the time. My daddy used to say reputation make people better because you're doing this all the time. Just because somebody family member gets shot, killed, locked up, it don't make them the best person for the conversation. And I know a lot of times people don't want to call that out like that. But here at Breaking the Mental Chain, I'm fighting for my people. It don't make them the best people for the conversation because the question that gotta be asked, where were you at when somebody else's child got killed? Did that motivate you to get involved to find out what was going on? If it didn't, what makes you now the best person to have a conversation with? It don't. It don't. The same people that been in the fight is still the people that been the ground roots that been doing this thing 24/7, reading over all the stuff like we're gonna do here tonight. The people that been going through these policies, seeing where these people do very treacherous things to ADOS communities are still the people that gotta be the conversation. Because a lot of times what happens is people become what I call reactionaries. They come out, they got a reactionary conversation, meaning it ain't full with data, it ain't full with history, it ain't full with policies, because these people ain't never really been connected to that. So the conversation is all emotional. We got to have real conversations and be able to control our emotions through everything because we got to be involved. The whole reason I stand here before you, sit before you tonight, is because I'm fighting to save even my life, your life, my son's life. I don't know who life I may change, but if I stay in this fight and bring forth change, lives can be changed. But first, I got to stay in this fight. I can't dip in and out. I can't wait for something to happen and go protest in the street. That ain't how this works, man. Please, we must become critical thinkers and know we must stay in the fight. We can't wait for somebody to die in our family and then jump out there because people, your loved one ain't the first one and they will not be the last one. Without reparations and a black agenda that makes us whole in the country we build, the killing ain't gonna stop because our economic positioning must change. And the only thing that changes our economic positioning is reparations, meaning the redistribution of wealth that we must have to change our position. Not somebody else's, not somebody else, but ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery position. So we're gonna get into the article now. And I just wanted to say that just remember, people is telling you, I say it again, that I'm just here to make you think. Let them know what is your plan and how do you plan on executing. If they can't tell you that, just know they could go on for the next million years with that and just be going after the bag. Here at ADOS, we know how our people move. We in a financial position that a lot of us get stuck on things that don't help our people. ADOS, here at Breaking the Mental Chain, ADOS, we want our people to know we got a plan and we got a way of executing. I ain't just here to make you think. I'm here to make you a critical thinker. Point blank, period. I want us to understand how these pieces are moving around us so we can go from being chess pieces to being chess players. That's the deal. So, and that's one of the number one things I need my people to say. Always ask, what's the plan? And how do you plan to execute it? Here at ADOS, the way we plan to execute our plan is through pressuring politicians to bring forth policies that help our community Pacific. We want language that's specific to our people, to our group, not everybody else. With that, we need people power to speak in places. That's why this education must happen. I don't need to be the only one knowing this information. Triangle ADOS don't need to be the only one knowing this information. Rocky Mount ADOS don't need to be the only one knowing this information. Twin City ADOS don't need to be the only one having this information. But all of our people, or a very major majority of our people, need to know this information and how to process it. So in their local town halls, in their local places, they can be on the front foot. They can be on the forefront talking and putting that data out there. That we understand that white folks have $104 trillion and that we only have 350 billion. That we are financially collapsed as a group, no matter what nobody telling you. So, and our plan is we're going to push for reparations and a black agenda. And this is happening. It's a lot of states. California done did it. Orange County done did it. Durham done did it. Winston-Salem is right now in the talks about reparations. South Carolina done did it. So we moving the line. Just imagine what we could do if we could get our people to pay more attention to ADOS, the movement of ADOS, and the work we are doing. Not Black Lives Matter. They ain't doing no work. They are distraction. ADOS is doing the work. Just imagine if we could get people to pay attention to this information we giving up and to start to really be critical thinkers. What we could be been accomplished if we accomplishing all this. We put reparation on the national level of the Democratic Party during the debate. They said reparation because Marianne Williams came and sat down with Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell, and they educated her on reparations. And she went back to that debate stage, so did Tom Sawyer, and said reparations is a must. So we doing the work. Ain't nobody else doing the work. ADOS. That's what Breaking the Mental Chain ADOS is trying to do right here now. We trying to bring forth real work, real change, as I say always, that you can feel in your household. It ain't going to come easy. It's going to be a battle. But we here for the battle. So let's pay attention to the real battle. That football game ain't the real battle. That basketball game ain't the real battle. It's a distraction. Record that. Get back to that later. Get to this now. So we're going to jump into this article. The article is basically it's in Rocky. I'm gonna make this thing a little bigger right fast. Give me just a minute here so we can see it. I want to be able to see it. Right there should be fine. Okay, here we go. Shoot, too big. Hold on a minute. I made it too big. Let's see here. We'll make it down some right there. Okay. And as I said, it's called Rocky Mount is Dead. Long live Rocky Mount. A deeply divided city has banked on a renaissance fueled by outside investment, historical preservation, but can it reinvention take place? A reinvention take place without a recoalition. It was a mill town, a tobacco town, a railroad town. But as the new millennium loomed, it was a dying town. Several textile slumps have done what a Yankee soldiers couldn't not. Forced the closing of South O's textile company, wrote the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, a grand building on the banks of the Tar River. Rocky Mount Mill has been twice burned down, twice rebuilt, but by 1996 it closed. A casualty some claim of NAFTA. The tobacco companies were next. In 1998, the industrial that had made the town a city 100 years of early financial finally heard its death knell as a group of majority tobacco companies surrendered to the throne of the state attorney general and entered into a master settlement agreement, which obligated the companies to pay over $200 billion in damage. Then in 1999, there was a Hurricane Floyd. The storm took through a region still recovering from a tropical storm that had hit just 10 days prior, flooding the Tar River and submerging the city. According to some estimate, 4,000 homes, housing units was destroyed, dozens died. The industrial skeleton of the city barely remained intact. Now, what we seeing here, they talking about basically things that has hit 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 Rocky Mountain. They talk about the textile mills that the Yankee soldiers couldn't even bring it in and that. Now I want to touch on that some and give a little history. This is a long article. We're gonna try to get through this thing as good as we can, fast as we can, because it's a long article, but it's a lot of good information. Now, these textile mills were started by slaves, and most of those slaves were the battles. So it's when we say we can connect the dots to everything back to slavery. These textiles, the first mill built in Rocky Mount was built by slaves and worked by slaves. And those slaves, biggest of those slaves, was from the Battle Plantation. You can look it up. It's people in Rocky Mount right now in battles don't understand that your bloodline has built the wealth of Rocky Mount and you ain't building fitting from it. And I say that because that's why we can't ever forget about connecting the dots. And the dots always connect back to slavery. As the article say, the main business corridors in Rocky Mount soaked for days in several foot of town water, report one newspaper. A year after the storm, decades of I can't see that. Let's see, I can't see that. Decades of work spent building the communities were washed away in a single event. That was then. To read about Rocky Mount today is to read about a city on the eve of its with tire manufacturing, freight companies, and even the DMV all flocking to the city and committing to a new manufacturing plant, cargo terminals, or headquarters there. In 2019, Forbes listed city as one of the best small places to do business. Last year, PBS North Carolina profiled its historical preservation and renovation. WRL looted the city a craft brewery incubator and a tiny home hotels. So let me scroll down so we can get there. Basically, they talking about Rocky Mount is on an uptick, you know. So um the they bringing up the fact that it's an uptick for Rocky Mount, and a lot of things are coming to Rocky Mount, and a lot of times the way we miss a lot of things, a lot of times when things start to come in, a lot of us think that that's good. It's good. Things got a new complex, new apartment complex going up, and we think that's a good thing. And and I say to people, it's good for who? Now we always got to worry who is it good for. So as you see the name of the show, is Rocky Mount the city on the rise or the city of gentrification? As we read into this article, you're gonna start to see these businesses coming in mean you got money coming in. And just I'm reading something here what Mr. Bourne said. The money there, they provide that with all the stimulus money. You see, um, we so basically what they basically did to black people with the stimulus money is basically use them to prop up the economy. Um, when you're a bottom caste group, they know you have no upward mobility meaning you have nowhere to really invest money. So when you have no really to invest money, the next thing you do is spend money. So what they know gonna happen, being that they know ADOS people, black people are so wealthless, what they would do with that money is they would spend it, which will help generate the economy. It will prop up the economy. So this money you've been receiving has kind of been a delusion for you to spend it, because they know they ain't giving you no up mobility. They ain't giving you nowhere to invest it. Invest so it will grow. So if I give you nowhere for to invest your money so that it'll grow, you spend it. And so you're gonna spend it and it's gonna prop up the economy. Whether you go shopping, buy some shoes, get a car, you help prop up the economy. So when we get people to help prop up the economy thrives. So that's that's the thing. When I say we must become critical thinkers, you got to be, if money gonna work, if you get money, the key to that to make capital is be to have capital to make that money work for you. If you've been locked out of a system financially, you can get money, but the money won't work for you. And you'll have some people, some ADOS black people that'll do things. They'll say, I'm gonna start this little barbershop. I'm gonna start this restaurant. Just pay attention. The restaurant ultimately get taken over because of the gentrification that's happening that make the cost of everything go up, but your paycheck don't go up. And that is happening because of the wealth that white people have. Once again, I say it again, they got $104 trillion, meaning the new black and white sign that no one talks about anymore. The new black and white sign, different from segregation back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, is now the dollar sign. It's who can afford to be here and who can't. And if their group got 104 trillion and yours only got 350 billion liquid, look like you ain't gonna be there. They're gonna force you out. So we'll get back to this article. When the Goodman family ran Capital Broadcasting Company purchased Rocky Mount Mill to repurpose it as a mixed-use complex, the Urban Land Institute wrote that the investment would turn the city into a destination for millenniums, ultimately shifting the fortitude of the eastern North Carolina town of Rocky Mount. It's a familiar story for CBC, whose massive investment in Durham American Tobacco campus helped convert the budget of the city industrial economy into a charming, nostalgic backdrop for tenants and modern homes. Some might call the renovation other might call it gentrification. What cannot be denied is that Rocky Mount, a city Forbes listed just 12 years ago as among the country's 10 most impoverished, is now the center of well-financed campus for a now understand they impoverished. Understand we say gentrification, and I just told you that money. The more money come in, everything around you do what? It get more expensive. So if most of ADOS black people are living check to check, that means you living off a check. But your counterparts as white people are living off inheritance and a check. Inheritance is wealth. And they getting a check, make more money than you with the check, plus they getting inheritance. When this gentrification, that's exactly what it is, because it drives the price, taxes go up, everything increase. We are only living off a check. So yeah, they're gonna say it's good for them, but not good for us, because they can afford to be there and we can't. And I'm gonna go back to the article. This would be a related, straightforward story about the resegment city finding its stride. But Rocky Mount isn't a city united. Two main streets run downtown, separated by a railroad track that divides the city. The boundaries between the is twin counties. The west majority white Nash County, and the east majority black Edgecombe County. So we right here we see the boundaries. We see the demarc of the boundaries of these two places. Um, we understand that right here when we see in the article the fall from the prosperity, the potential of the uh, Renaissance, all on the foundations of the deep racial divisions. That the challenge ahead of Rocky Mount and on the ground, there are wildly different views about just how insurmountable those difficulties are. Um, the Main Street divided. John Johnson, a former downtown development manager for the city, rolled his eyes when asked about the railroad tracks, what they meant, what they might say about the relationship between the counties. I mean, yes, the county line by definition is separating device. He said over a cup of coffee on the Rocky Mount Mill campus. But can we not say the railroad tracks are a zipper that binds Nash and Edgecombe County together? It's just a problem of perception, not racism. So, of course, we see this. This definitely is a white male speaking, and he's saying, why can't the railroad be viewed as a zipper that kind of binds us together? Well, here's the thing about a zipper. If you got on a jacket, when you zip, if it's cold outside, you zip the jacket up because it holds in the body heat, right? And that equally covers the body. The thing that John don't want to come out and say is when that railroad track run down between Nash and Edgecombe County, the wealth changes too. The wealth of Edgecombe County and the wealth of Nash County totally changes. So it ain't a zipper because it was a zipper on both sides of the track. Wouldn't the wealth positions be the same too? But they're not. Is it a coincidence that on the Nash County side of the track that more whites over there, and there's also more wealth? On the other side of the tracks is more black. Majority is black. ADOS. And the wealth position is bad. They don't have a lot of wealth. So this is not a zipper, John. Because if I got on a coat and I zip it up, my entire body is warm. My upper body is warm then, John. So it's not a zipper. It's definitely a divide. Um, I asked the same question. This is the reporter. He's saying I asked the same question of James Gilliard, pastor of World Tabernacle Megachurch and one of the state representatives for Rocky Mount, when I met with him, masked in his office. I am a product of interracial marriage. Now, I just got to stop there. I don't know why he felt like that was important to say. It doesn't matter. You on the other side of the tracks and you being treated accordingly. Um, so but he points he's in an interracial marriage as if that somehow gonna set us free because he's in a mixed marriage. My parents was married when anti miscegenation laws still existed in the 1970s. I was literally part of the group of students desegregated magnetic school in Philadelphia. I spent time in post-apartheid South Africa doing leadership development. And despite all those experiences, I've never lived in a more racial divided community than Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Now, I'm gonna tell you something that I see here that even this gentleman here don't recognize. Even though he bring up he's in a, a mixed relationship, interracial relationship, he don't he says all these places he been, but what he don't know is most of ADOS people has never left the United States. There alone tell you he don't understand things that's really going on. That's why he find that all these places he been ain't as divided as Rocky Mount. And he don't understand when he used the term apartheid in South Africa because they move in tribes there that he probably don't even understand because when he went there, he probably saw a few whites but majority of black people. and he thought that was some type of unity because he saw so many black people, but it ain't. They move just as divided as this country here. They just do it in tribalism. Um, it's as we see here in the because Edgecombe County is still left in the cold. That's exactly right. As we get from ADOSHQ battle here, is they still left in the cold. We'll keep reading. In 2011, when Gillian Church, the World Tabernacle, applied for a loan to purchase the Scatter Home Depot building. They were rejected by every bank in eastern North Carolina. Only the black-owned Merchant of Farmers in Durham granted them a mortgage. Now, we see here where once again, just a couple weeks ago, I did a story about. I talked about us and these loans, how our race, our lineage, play a critical part in being able to get approved for loans, the interest rate we get when we get the loan. So many of us don't talk about that interest rate we done got. We just brag about what we got. We don't talk about that interest rate. Most of us take predatory loans just to get a loan. Here's another gentleman. We got another gentleman. He's ADOSHQ. Once again, he talks about how hard it was to get approved. So I don't have to make these things up. And he said it himself. He didn't get approved nowhere. Nowhere he went and had to go to a black organization bank to get approved. But here at ADOSHQ, we know that our black banks are struggling to keep up with this wealth gap that is just continually to grow. And he I was wrong. I was wrong right here. I may have overspoke. This he's of Irish descent. So I've been corrected. He ain't ADOSHQ. So I guess we would call that he is I guess he's running under the umbrella of people of color. We would say here at ADOSHQ, we don't do the people of color. We American descendants of slaves. Don't group us with them. We got our own lineage that we built this nation. And him being Irish just means basically what he did, his group did, they became white. They became white, you know. So with that being said, because they stepped on us so that they could become white. And we'll get back to the article. When he ran for office in 2018, a white man approached him outside of a grocery store, a gun visible in his holster on his hip. He told me, "I hope you lose." Now this is what the white man telling this Irish guy. He told me, "I hope you lose. I would leave Rocky Mount before I live in a community where a black man could beat a white man," Gillard recounted. So one thing the white man do justifies that you all are the same anyway to me, because I know you ain't white. He grouped them right in with us. You see? So this is how powerful your lineage and race still is in this country. He later became the first black man. And once again, as ADOSHQ, we got another one. They done tagged him as being the first black man. But he ain't ADOSHQ. He Irish. So he ain't the first black man. He could be the Irish man. I don't know if we ever had an Irish representative of the House for Rocky Mount, but in Nash County, I guess he could be that though. But he can't be the first black one because they ain't done the work to have a first black one. But Gillard later becomes the first black man elected to the Representative House District 25, despite losing nearly every white precinct. Now that says a lot too, though. He lost every single white precinct. Now understand when we say we must see the truth in what is happening. We want so bad to think we can enter into a different relationship that somehow, like I said last week, mixing the race somehow will fix race. Once again, we're reading a totally different article. And even within this article, it didn't fix race. it don't change your lineage. So um it's um it's one of those things we got to come to terms with. Our lineage is our lineage. And not doing the work to fix our lineage ain't gonna fix race. Um Here we got what we got. L. Will said in the thing, yet Bell Home Depot on the Nash County side. Oh yeah, so that's on the Nash County side. We see. We're gonna keep reading. Nash and Edgecombe counties are far from racial homogeneity. The area of segregation is more like a checkerboard than a clean separation of white and black communities. Still, the county divide is real, with real political economic consequences. Three different administrations, a city council, and two county commissioners board all of the hand-in city governance, arguable, working more intense than in coordination, and that is especially true when investment is involved. So of course we know it gets real when we start talking about investment, cause they don't want us in that realm when it's time to do investments. Um, Hold on. So involved. Okay, when the jobs are landing, when companies are coming, the lion's share of them are coming into Nash County, Gillis said. When you look at new housing developments, subdivision popping up, they generally are going to be in Nash County. That's how it has begun to change in recent years as new investment flows to the Edgecombe side of downtown. It's a promising through disruption shift that leaves giving hopeful that the railroad tracks could be cast in a new light. I think downtown development is the best shot we got at dismantling all racism, he said. Oh man, this man don't really know. He don't know a lot. Got a lot of hats, a lot of titles, but don't know a lot. We see that a lot here at ADOS. Um, we we see this a lot where where we get people um that don't really understand race in this country because they haven't been here like ADOS people have been here. Understand that when he talks about just because things are coming to Edgecombe County side, that he sees a shift that things may be getting better. The truth is, if you don't understand the data and you don't understand that ADOS people don't have any wealth, those things that's slowly drifting over to the Rocky Mount side would could be very devastating to the ADOS people there. I want to give I want to say that to Leroy, I want you to call in because I got a call in. I want to have a call in with Leroy, so I want Leroy to call in because I want him. He's closer to some of this stuff than me. So some of the things I can't go in depth on, he'll be able to go in depth a little more. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let him call in. He should call in here in any minute. I should be getting a call from him. We'll keep reading the article though. The economic change is a result of hard-fought political change over the last 40 years. Oh my God. We'll go into this last 40 years. That's what I mean when I say this man don't understand what he's talking about. President and CEOs of North Carolina Associated Community Development Corporation. Coleman moved to Rocky Mount to provide legal aid for a 1983 voting right lawsuit that led to a new ward system and racially balanced city representation. It took another 15 years of black officials to win the majority of the seats on the city council, despite the fact that in the city of Rocky Mount itself, a black population outnumbered the white population 2-1. 2-1. Um, we right here shows that we outnumbered the people 2-1, and we still couldn't get in front of them with a lot of things. By the time the black majority leadership got in place, they inherited a system that had economically bottomed out, Cole said. you already had erection of transition economic drivers of regions from tobacco, textiles, and the manufacturing. The challenge for them was how to make their political empowerment manifest in the lives of the people, and that's what we want. We want to happen. We want to see a manifestation that change lives, not just to have a black face in a high place. That don't pay your bills at night just to say we got some black representation of them. Hopefully something go good for us. That ain't what we looking for no more. We through with black faces in high places. We want change we can feel in our home. Um, I'm gonna go down in this article. I want to go down to this. This is what I want to go down to. Um, I want to talk about the when they did an audit. They had an audit in Rocky Mountain, and that audit that they did led to a lot of things coming out about what was going on among the black people, that people had bleed in, that were going to come forth and bring forth a different outlook on things, not to come in, not to be ushered in to bring forth the same thing that had hindered them before. um so they say they did an audit, summarized the findings, which extended over nearly 2 decades as follows. Multiple city of Rocky Mount officials prevented the business service center from adhering to its utility customer service policy, resulting in a $47,704 write-off of a city council member's utility account. So one of the city councilmen basically wrote himself a check and didn't pay his light bill. Now, I guess my biggest problem is we see that in Rocky Mount light bill is very high, and it's hard for people to pay their light bills as it is. Then we got the city official, man, that just got a free light bill that drove everybody else's light bill up. That's a problem, because people didn't vote for him to go there and just end up putting them in a situation that they couldn't pay their light bill. We're gonna keep reading here. Um, Write off of the city council member utility account. City of Rocky Mount Downtown Development Management failed to follow the program guidelines for the downtown roof replacement and building assisted programs, resulting in uncollected loan payments of $32,452 and inappropriately awarded grants uncollected, totaling inappropriately awarded grants totaling 28,000. So once again, was some funds misused for grants that was, I guess, they was used in a wrong way, that they weren't supposed to be used in. The City of Rocky Mount Engineering Division violated the City Code of Oregon by not collecting on letters of credit as required after 2 years, resulting in a potential cost of $31,000. Um, these are a lot of findings that this audit did. Subdivision improvement, the city manager failed to comply with the City of Rocky Mount travel policy, resulting in 1,575 unallowable travel expense. The City of Rocky Mount failed to designate the In America with Disability Act, according to since 2010, as required by the federal law. So we see a lot going on here. Um, I'm clicking on the chat because I got things in the chat that people want to say. Our audit provider just had bad. Our representation has got, yeah, it does. As Ms. Battle has said, it does that. It shows that and once again, all of this goes back to wealth positioning. That we get these black faces in high places, and we not only losing the representation for our group, for our people, but now our people also are misusing it too against us. Not going in to bring forth change, but going in to steal, to hinder us too. That's why here Breaking the Mental Change ADOS, we saying reparation is a must, and this article proves that reparation is a must. That we must have it. If we don't have it, we won't. This won't change. And instead of these leaders that's doing, instead of these leaders coming out admitting that the wealth is so great that we can't keep up, they come out and they hide it. They don't speak on it. They manipulate their people. And that's why we reading this article. We must become to the point to where we don't sit and go for that anymore. That we understand that if you there, you need to represent us. Not bring forth the same thing they did. Because how do that help us? All right. The report recommended better oversight and compliance as well as repayment by the city managers of her 1,575 unliable travel expense. There has been no criminal charges of any of these counts. To some of the small scale finding 140,000 involving half a dozen employees over nearly 2 decades, confirmed that the entirety process was retaliation. They have hurdled all kind of indices and changed half truth against the city managers and the black majority and undercut their leadership because they do not support the shift in investment patterns, Coleman say. For others, the findings were proof of systematic unethical behavior on the part of the city official. It doesn't matter your color, age, gender, or religion affiliation. All these acts are wrong, unethical, and take advantage of everyone who lives in Rocky Mount, said Mayor Sandy Robinson. You know, it's something we talk about. We read these articles and they talk about taking advantage of people. Yet for 400 years, ADOS people have been taken advantage of. The ugliest thing of it all is why will our own people get there and do the same thing? Why not advocate for something to make your people whole? Why not stand for something so that you don't have to still not pay your light bill? But you advocate for yourself, so you get in there and you do a lot of do for self that only benefits you. So that's why we must change this narrative. That's why it's so important for us to become critical thinkers. I want to go down and skip around this article again because it's something else I want to touch on here. This lady here, Roxy Fox Hunter, was among the last generation to celebrate the June German. Her older sister debated there in 1950, but the festivities ended before Hunter could participate herself. Hunter grew up in a crosstown, a black neighborhood near downtown on the Edgecombe side. For her, growing up in crosstown felt like growing up in the black utopia. She used black utopia. You had your barbershop, you had your boutique, you had your dentists, you had your doctors, you had your lawyers, you had your funeral home and your and restaurants. She remembered. We would have stayed in this community if we could have had everything that we needed. But over succeeding years, investment flowed to white communities and neighborhoods like Crosstown falls behind. And Rocky Mount shows progress. Read one headline from 1917, hauling a bond that paved street, installed sewers, extended street lights, the most remarkable events almost exclusively in white neighborhoods. It was infrastructure targeted at the middle class and the business interests, but far too often middle class and business interests was for whiteness. So we see here that they basically catered towards the whiteness. And we seeing that more and more. That's how they able to get the things they get. That's how they got the wealth. because the system has been engineered to cater towards them. That's why here at Breaking the Mental Chain ADOS, we are saying it's time for us to advocate for ourselves, to get things to go for us. We ain't saying nothing ain't been happening for 400 years. It just ain't happened for us. So we need it to happen for us. So we need people to advocate for it to happen for us, even if it makes people uncomfortable. I'm gonna stroll down here. We see here we see a house, and this home was owned by a guy that played in the major leagues. Um, and it's still the same way it was, and it stayed in it. It's a historical site now. We see things like this all through Rocky Mountain, old homes, that has been preserved. But what we ain't talking about is how slowly but surely these things are being lost due to our wealth position. It's right here. It says, imagine what could be here. This sign is talking about homes and development. Without wealth, all we can do is imagine. And imagine don't build anything but within the mind. It's going to take physical bodies to bring forth change. If we don't get those physical bodies to in line with change that must happen for our people, we will continue to be starved out, like it or not. And we must, with all costs, stop telling the story of how well we got it. Being shamed when people say we are black people don't have anything. The first thing we do is try to jump out the window. Oh, I got something. Right now, I would like for everybody on this call to think about this. How many of you right now can invest in one of your kids $250,000? How many of you can do it? Very few of us can invest it in one child. Now, let's think about two. Let's think about three. Let's think about four. Let's think about five. When you say you are doing so good, the next time I want you to think about your kids. I want you to think about, can you invest $250,000 in each and every one of them to bring them to a better place? If you cannot do that, know that your child is in trouble, and so are you. So when we talk money, let's get real with this money talk. If you can't do that, stop telling me you got money. Because having $20 ain't no life-changing money. Having $20,000 ain't no life-changing money. Not when white people got 104 trillion and they control the landscape. You don't control the landscape with $20,000. Trust me. It's just the fact you don't know what kind of money it really takes to be part of this landscape. You don't really know what it takes to be here, to survive here. So when you don't know that, you may say a lot of wild things. I want to stroll down a little further through this article. We in a lot of parts of this article, you see things, you see a lot of history that they talk about. I want to go not that far. I want to go back to this. Okay. How do you shift through the headlines to filter the brute force of marketing from the on-ground reality? My honest response to all these different lists is, where did this data come from? Gilla says, I love Rocky Mountain. I love Eastern North Carolina. But I don't think that those of us who live here believe this is an accurate assessment of our community at this point. This year, Gillen said Word Tabernacle installed Wi-Fi in the church parking lot. After he heard stories of families parking outside of businesses to borrow Wi-Fi for virtual schooling because their own home lacked broadband. At the home in luxury apartment, the city may be a remote work hub, but least so in passenger seat of a parked car. Still, Gillen himself has been at the center of similar glowing coverage. In 2019, Business North Carolina featured Gillian in a hard hat on its October cover. The word preacher, politician, power broker, painted below. Understand, this man wearing all these hats. He this man is wearing all these hats. All these hats are being worn by a man that people that put him in office also go to him to pray. You can't wear those two hats. They don't go together. You can't be the pastor and the politician. They don't belong together. That only happens with our group too, where we elect pastors to be politicians. They don't go together, but we do it. How do you push back against your pastor and go to church on Sunday and put money in his tithe basket at the same time? How do you fix the problem when the problem is your pastor? You can't do it. So you get pastors that can do things you ain't able to do, and then they don't help you. You see, we must come to terms. This ain't his place. We just need you at the church. I listen to you when I go to church. I don't need you to be in the arena of politics with a Bible in your hand, because history has shown that ain't the place for the Bible. That's the place where you get real work done on real problems that people are really having at their household. Because at the end of the day, he set in the circle that everybody belief don't align with his. And he should know that. And his followers should know that. That's why his place ain't in politics. Everybody's religion ain't the same. So there's no need in you bringing your Bible and somebody like, I don't care about that Bible. I roll with this. I roll with this over here. I don't roll with that. You see what I'm saying? So they don't go. So you shouldn't come there with that. You should come with the data. You should come with the policies and how those policies affect the ADOSH community and black people. And you should stand on your square for things that'll fix that. Period. So this is what I mean by saying we got to hold them accountable. It says I'm not anti-outside investors, Gilliam said, but we do have to be really cautious that we are creating pathways for one group of people. We're also outboarding and creating pathways for different groups of people. Oh my God. This is what we get when you don't have ADOS in that space, and you don't have ADOS in the space that know they're ADOS. You get this everybody conversation. And when this everybody conversation start, ADOS black people get left out in the cold every time. We get left out in the cold every time. As the city emerges from yet another economic blow with the COVID-19 pandemic, he hopes that the recovery will go beyond name brand projects and include investments in affordable housing, broadband access, widespread job growth. But to do so, Gilliam knows that the city that has long been divided will have to find a way to work together. And at the end of the article say, I do think that Rocky Mount has a tremendous amount of potential, he said, but I also think that we are probably our own worst enemies. So we see in this article, and I just kind of jumped through it, but we see in this article what we have actually happening is we get the everybody conversation going on, which at Breaking the Mental Chain ADOS, we understand once that everybody conversation started to go, that we get left out in the cold. We understand that policies got to be specific. And we understand that if you ain't moving by the data, you ain't gonna help your people. When he says we are our worst enemy, it ain't us being the worst enemy. It's them being the worst enemy, because they still carry the same greed as their ancestors carried. Now, what we must do is know that we challenge that way of thinking and doing by knowing the data and knowing our history. I'm gonna go to a break, and after the break, if anybody wanna put a question in the chat about the article, about something on your mind, about something that you have learned that you didn't know from yesterday, I think another key thing I want to point out tonight is that we must become more aware. We at least try to learn something new every day. If if you won't, if you wasn't, um, if you didn't know something yesterday, you should want to learn something new. Stop living life as doing the same thing you was doing yesterday. Find a way to make your mind be creative to do something new. Don't be scared of doing something new. Change up. If what you are doing today ain't better your life, hey, don't be scared to try something else. Because I see too many of my people that just get stuck in doing the same thing day in and day out. And if you just stop and ask them why you still doing the same thing day in and day out, what is your plan for the future? What are you trying to accomplish? When do you stop and think about it? So um it's these are the things we want to do here at ADOS. If you've never been involved in politics, it ain't too late. I didn't know all this stuff I know overnight. It took me being involved, engaging it, to start reading, to start understanding it. And now I'm presenting it to you to try to get you to be the same way. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a break here, and after the break, we'll take some call. And like I said, if you want to, you can put your you can put it in the your if you don't want to call in, you can if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. So we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back. We back. All right. So we another thing I wanted to touch on was um um yeah, we that's yeah, what good is black faces in high places when you still don't get representation? Um we must come to terms with that. That ain't how you do politics. That ain't how you fix anything. The way you fix things is by people that sits there and represent you and have that hard conversation that a lot of people might not want to have because of friendships and different things that don't benefit us. We it's I told somebody the other day. I said we as ADOS black people we must take off the mask around anybody. It's time to stop allowing people to be comfortable in your presence. It's time to make them uncomfortable. As I think about this article and some of the stories within that article on Rocky Mount, gentrification is definitely it's happening and it's going to push black ADOS people out. Some of you may be feeling it already because your rent gonna go up too. Your mortgage gonna go up. The taxes on your houses are going to go up. They're gonna push you across that track. And of course, some of you will say, "Well, I just went to where I could afford to be at." Once again, I go back to what I said on the beginning of this call. You think you made the decision on your own, but the decision was a forced decision because you made the decision because that's what you could afford. I said in the beginning of the show, the new black and white signs are wealth. Who has the money to be there? I no longer have to put up a no whites only sign to keep you out. I up the price and that keeps you out. And if we want to really fight and to make a real change, a real difference, the ultimate thing we must do is we must come to terms with, do we allow history to continue to repeat itself? Or do we stand up and fight for something better? We must make a decision. Um, Things won't get better without us doing the work to make them better. Um, as I said before, it ain't just about saying I'm here to make you think. I'm here to make you critical thinkers. I'm here to make you be able to prioritize what's important and what's not. It's nothing wrong with, as my dad would say, playing, but you can't play all the time. You can't laugh all the time. Sometimes you got to get serious. You got to know when it's time to get serious. Too many of us, we laugh like hyenas all the time and we never get serious. And we don't want to be around people that know when it's time to get serious. Because if we're around somebody that we think know when it's time to get serious, we try to make it like they the problem because they saying, listen, this is what's happening. But the moment that person's serious, what he or she is talking about happens in your life, the first person you're gonna call is that person. So what makes it so hard for you to listen to that person before things go wrong? So once again, that's one of our mental problems. Anybody will tell you, any psychologist will tell you, if you laughing all the time, you definitely got a problem because it's impossible for something to be funny all the time. And this situation that's happening in Rocky Mount is not a laughing moment. It's a serious moment because it's also happening in Wilson County. It's happening in Raleigh. I just chose to pick this article, but this is something that's happening in a lot of counties. Because once again, I said it before and I say it again, we cannot run away from that $104 trillion. That's why we must stand and fight for things better. To bring forth a change that we know we're gonna need. We need this to happen. If it don't, not only will you suffer, but your kids will suffer too. Um, it's a one part in the article. I didn't read over it, but I want to touch on it here. We talk about a lot of these pastors and the kids of these pastors, how they so much to do for self, they may open things for their child, thinking that my child is fine. I tell people this all: you can't save your child without worrying about saving the next person's child. Because understand, if the next person's child is being starved out, it directly puts your child's life in danger, because your child will still have to do business with this group, this ADOS black group that is socially collapsing. And if your child is doing better than this, just a tad bit better than this other person's child that you did not fight for, he could take the life of your child. So how much protection have you really given your child when you just fight for self and not fight for the mass of your group to be made whole? So that's one of the things we want to get our people to understand. Here at Breaking the Mental Change ADOS, we fight for our entire group. I don't fight just for my son. I fight for yours too. Um, so that's the main objective we must come to terms with. Another thing I wanted to touch on, I want to go back to something else I spoke about tonight. How long do we continue to let people lead us on with a conversation of that goes nowhere, that really bring forth no light? Why do we run away from the discussion that ADOS is having? When ADOS is talking about is right in your home, is every day, day in and day out, the life that you are living. Why would you run away from that conversation? Why are you ashamed of it? You need to ask yourself these questions. I ain't ashamed of mine, the good and the bad of mine. Another thing I want to touch on was an article here. I want to touch on something that we talk a lot about. Here. Hold up. Wrong thing. Committed my camera. I want to go. Let me pull this article up. We talk about the prison problem. So I want to bring up a chart here of the different regions of the prison. And the main one I want to view at first sight is this one, the triangle region. Now, if we look at this chart, let me maneuver it a little bit better than that. Hold on a minute. Okay, let me maneuver this, make it a little smaller. Just a minute here. I might not be able to do it like that. Okay, so we look here at this chart. Oh, dang, it's all the way out. Hold on. This chart is kind of crazy how it is. I'm trying to hold on just a minute. Let me see, can I get this? It's gonna be too small. So one thing I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you this chart because the way it is, or if you see it now, you should be able to see it now. So if you look at the triangle region here, and you look at Caswell Correctional Center, Central Prison. Now remember, all these are men prisons. As you see right here, North Carolina Correctional Institution for Women. They only got one prison for women in 4 different regionals of prisons. And I wanted to touch on this because I want to bring the light that we must understand that they are straight up telling you that they built prison solely for black males. If you got 4 different regions, and all of the regions is only one women prison, and it holds 1,288 people. Look at the list of this prison here with these, and when you look at I'm gonna stop sharing because I'm sure you should have been able to see it then. 4 regions, all 4 regions are full with men prisons. So I don't think y'all could see that. I was trying to pull this chart up, but it's kind of how the chart made. Let me see again. Let me see something here. I'm gonna try to share this thing so you can see it. Hold on. Boy, let's see. It's kind of. I don't think you can see it. Hold on. And I don't know how I'm gonna drag it over. It's so big. Hold on a minute. I'm trying to get it to fit. But I think even if I got it to fit, it's gonna be too small. Watch. Let's see. So yeah, it's so small you can't really see it right there like I want to see it. Let's see. Let me do it like let's see what it look like. Hold on, man. I'm trying to figure a way I can make it where you can be able to see it. Hold on. We're gonna swell this thing up, make it a little bigger. Give me just a minute. We're gonna make it where you can see it now. Hold on. Here we go. Let's see if we can see that right there. Okay. Let's go back. Okay. So here we go. So now when you look at this chart, you see in the triangle region, all of these prisons, it's a total in all four regions of 56 prisons. 56. Now, out of that 56 prisons, only one women prison. And to break the data down more. So all these, this 460, 1100, Dan River, 600, Franklin Correctional Center, all of these are men. And most of these men out of all these numbers are ADOS men. ADOS men that are incarcerated. These are all the prisons in North Carolina. They have basically catered to incarcerate us solely, ADOS men. Now understand, out of that 1,288, most of them are ADOS women. Even though it ain't but one prison, bigger than that number is ADOS women. Now a lot of us talk about equality. Why they ain't locking everybody up like this then? Why is it just our group that's being targeted like this? I'm gonna go up to this next one. I want you to see it too. Same thing, nothing different. Nothing different. Same thing. Here we go. Same thing. See, ain't no women prison here. They only got one in the area. 56 prisons, 4 different regions. It's we that this is why I say it's severe. So people want to tell you that, hey, don't break the law. Because people don't understand, when you go up, put in an application for a job, it's going to be a white man or white woman that's going to deny or give you that job. If these people are racist, they can deny it to you. Stop acting like we got the power to control whether we be hired or fired. We don't control that narrative, neither way. You can go to work every day, do exactly what you're supposed to do, show up on time, do everything you're supposed to, and they can come in the next day and say we're doing a layoff. Do you have the power to stop that? You don't. That's why it's so important for us to change our economic positioning. We are at the mercy of the group that enslaved us, still to this day, because of our wealth position. That is why we are fighting so hard to get more people on board with the push for reparations and a black agenda. Things like this are not going to change. You see the mass number. The data is here. We're going to go up. That was the mountain region. Let's keep going up, since some of you might try to say it ain't in your area. So I want to show all the areas so we don't leave nobody out trying to say it ain't in the area. Here's the coastal region. And another thing about these charts that I ain't pulled up, know that a lot of times the black ADOS population is the smallest population, yet it makes up the biggest percentage of the prison, the incarcerated. Some of these areas is very few of us here, yet we make up still the bigger percentage of the prison population. So what do it take for our people to see the writing on the wall that we are still being treated like cattle and like the slaves? Like the slaves. I'm going to show you some more. I want to show you all of them, because I don't want nobody to feel left out like it ain't in their region. You go to Central region, because some of you might try to say that ain't going on in mine. If you're in North Carolina, I just showed you every prison in North Carolina. I just showed you every single region is locking us up. Even a region where we don't make up the biggest population. So This is the truth. If anybody want to try to distract, because no, indeed, that nobody is talking about this. We are the only ones talking about it. These people you want to listen to on these social sites that you find, they ain't talking about this. They don't care because they in it for themselves. They are 100% do for self. Yes, as L. Willie say, the Black Textbook speaks to what you just said. These are the things that's still happening in 2021. Yet we talking about, oh, I just want to make you think. What are you doing to change this? Where's the work at to change this? Because just sitting around thinking and not doing no action don't get it done. Don't get it done. Period. You ain't gotta like it. You ain't If you don't like it, be willing to educate yourself to know something else other than who's the newest rapper. What tattoo that rapper got on his face? Who getting their butt did this week? Stop just thinking about those things. Become part of something bigger to bring forth change. If we do not, hey, as I always say, stop complaining about it. Sit back and watch the slaughter. Sit back, watch the slaughter. Because if you're going to complain and not do the work, there's no need in complaining. It doesn't matter if you don't want it to change, if you don't want to see something different, you got to be involved to get something different. If your life is upside down right now, be willing to do the work to do something about it. Don't be this one to sit back and say, well, that's how it is. I can't do nothing about it. Of course you can't with that kind of attitude. But if you got the attitude that you like, I'm tired of these people doing it this way. I want to know what can I do to be involved with things that make a difference. What we are asking to happen is to make a difference. We asking you to sit with your child, to educate your child on who they are, for them not to be ashamed of being ADOS. You not to be ashamed to buy them up or get them an ADOS shirt to wear around and wear it with pride like they wear Jordan shirt. Ain't it something now? Our kids we got them wearing Jordan shoes, we got them wearing Jordan shirt, but Jordan said out his own mouth, he didn't want black people wearing his stuff because they make it look bad. But the first thing we do to our kids when we have them, we got to give them a pair of shorts. I'm going to get my little boy a pair of Jordans. That's what I'm going to do. You're going to get my little boy a pair of Jordans. He got to have those Jordans. He got to have those Jordans, but Jordan don't even respect him. So out the gate, you don't even teach him how not to represent people that don't represent him or respect him. So you start them out the wrong way. You start them out the wrong way. Why not start them out the right way? Educate them on politics. Educate them on who they are. The schools ain't going to do it. That's what we working on here right now. The politics we don't do well be left to our children and grandchildren. That's right. We drop it right on them. So why not be part of the fight? Why not educate your child to be part of the fight? Why be shamed? If you shame of who you are, what you think your son gonna be, your daughter gonna be? You got to be the voice to tell them don't be shamed. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You're the strongest people here. Why not act like it and be like it? It's time to stop just sitting around settling for nice words to stroke our ego and make us feel good. It's time to really do the work so that we can live good. Period. If you ain't willing to do it, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to get up and be the voice. Stop sitting around waiting for somebody else, thinking somebody else going to make it for. You need to be involved too, because it's going to help your kids too, and it'll help you too. I don't see anybody posting any questions in the chats. But if you got a question, if you would like to know something, you can put it in the chat. And we'll answer. If you like to know, one of the things that we are trying to get more people involved with doing, and we're gonna probably get this out in the next show, is try to get the numbers and stuff to the different elected officials. So we can get people involved with putting pressure on. And things like that. So we here doing the work, we coming up with different strategies. I think the biggest problem we have is getting people to become involved. And trust me, we can use your help anywhere. So don't feel like you got to be that you need to be some genius to be. This fight is for you, regardless of whatever the level of education you in. If you tired of what's been happening and want to be part, listen, reach out to Twin City ADOS, Triangle ADOS, Rocky Mount ADOS. We need your help. And we want to educate our people to know how to have these conversations in these spaces. And this is true. It's not safe for ADOS anywhere in North Carolina. And this is true, very true. They ain't got no prisons sitting there because they don't know that they ain't going around intentionally hunting ADOS males. Intentionally. I saw another article today where where I saw that somebody had made the comment that they that one of the things that a lot of times the police do is that they can stop people with air fresheners hanging in their car. Now, and why they stop a lot of people with air fresheners hanging in their car. So if you know the data, a lot of things that ADOS people spend money on is air fresheners. See, that's why I say you need to know the data. See, the data tells you why they doing that. Once you know that a lot of ADOS people buy air fresheners for their home, they buy it for their cars, and now the police is stopping people that they see air fresheners in their car hanging. See? Because they know it's going to be black people most of the time. That's how important the data is. We see here ADOSHQ kind of had that high hopes for event center. Everyone said it was booked up for the next 3 years. Then COVID came. See, this statement is very powerful because another thing that's looming right now for our communities is the effect of COVID. The effect of COVID. Yeah, you ain't feeling it yet, but as soon as that government stops sending out that money to prop up this economy, and that's May is coming, September is coming too. When they start saying we back to normal and business as usual, once again, ADOS people won't only be left in the cold. We'll be left in the heat because it'll be in the heart of the summer. And nobody will care. They got at the border, they got immigrants in hotels. 52% of our people are homeless, sleeping under bridges. I don't know what it's going to take for you to get involved with this fight, but this fight is becoming severe, and it ain't no running from it. This is a fight that you can't run from. This is a fight you're going to have to stand up and fight. And you need to know how to fight it. And how you fight it is becoming politically educated and understanding policy and how to navigate through politician slick talk. And that's why we're doing these shows, and that's why we go through these articles, because we want to educate you on these things. So I guess I'm bringing the show to a close. As always, to my people, I want you to stay strong. I want you to stay focused, and I want you to help move the line forward. Help move this line forward. We can't do it alone. Stop sitting back waiting for somebody else to do the work. You step up and do the work. If you want to see change, you need to be part of the change that's being made. Hey, to all my ADOS family out there, love you. And become part and get involved in the fight. Stop sitting back waiting for the fight to come to you. It's time to bring the fight to them. All right, we gonna I'm gonna bring the show to a close. If you want to know how you can get in touch, once again, before you leave out of here though, I need you to hit that like button. I need you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I need you to share this video amongst your family, friends, everybody. We need to get as many people involved as we can here in North Carolina and anywhere else across this country, because we need to draw a link of change together to bring forth the real change. If you want to know how you can, once again, if you like to donate too, you can do $ go hard or die. My cash app. But yeah, at least you can do the free thing too. You can always subscribe. You can hit that like button. You can share this video. Get more people involved. If somebody out there that you know that be on this level talking, like, share it with them. Tell them to get involved with the fight. All right. All right, everybody. Good night. And how about listen to the intro so you can follow up and see where else you can see other videos by Antonio Moore, Yvette Cornell. All right, here it is.